everyone, welcome again to our Wellness Mondays where we discuss normal current affairs and how they affect our mental health. And today I am super excited to share something that is currently happening in our society. But of course, there's nothing new under the sun. It's something that has always happened even in the past. So before we get in, go on ahead, grab your cup of chai, your cup of coffee, water, whatever tickles your fancy, and join me as we unravel taking accountability and responsibility in our day to day life. As the world is today, everything is interconnected. What I mean is that there is not a single person who can say that their actions does not affect the actions of the next person. So you find that the way the world is, the actions that you take today greatly affect people around you. It can be your family, it can be your colleagues, it can be your fellow students if you're a student. And therefore, taking accountability is something that as a society we should learn to take and we should learn to incorporate in our day-to-day life. For example, this morning I was actually looking for some products and services that I needed for this shoot today. And you could not believe each and every vendor that I called was not available. And the reason they gave me was they were not sure that there would be mano or not. See, one person is deciding to fight for their rights to come on the streets and make their voice heard. And here we have a vendor on this other side who is not able to get on with their business or to continue with their business as they normally know it because they're not sure if the action of this mandamano is going to affect their business. And therefore, it just goes without saying that with the interconnection that we have in the world today, we cannot take for granted the effect that our actions will have on the next person. Wait, before you continue watching, kindly ensure you like, you share, and subscribe. It helps to support our channel and it helps to grow. Our stats show that around 70% of you guys have not subscribed. So do us a favor and click the subscribe button. Now, continue watching. Taking accountability requires that you realize that you play a part in the whole ecosystem of life and that your actions can greatly affect the life of another person. For instance, today I'm just JF. I don't hold a public office. And therefore there is a pressure or there is some form of pressure that some public officers are facing right now, but it is by virtue of the offices that they hold. Taking accountability and responsibility, and I'm going to use these two words interchangeably throughout this episode, is not a personal attack on your person. Sometimes, because of the offices that you hold, then there is a level of accountability that is expected from you. For instance, as a mother, there is some level of accountability that is expected from me. If there is no food at home, my children naturally just come towards me to ask me, Mom, what's going on? Why is there no food? Because by virtue of what they've known and how the system has always been, they know that when it comes to food, it's mom who's always in charge of food. And so when my children come and ask me for food, and maybe I'm running late or I wasn't able to cook for that day and I'm thinking of getting a takeout, I should not feel as if I'm being attacked. I should be able, as a mother, to explain myself that the reason why we're running a bit late today is probably I was caught up in traffic or I'm feeling too tired to cook today. And my plan to avoid us sleeping hungry is that we probably go for takeout. This is just an example of taking accountability on a very basic level. And so we've seen in other countries or in previous instances, we've seen great leaders take accountability for their actions. And one that immediately comes to mind is former president of the United States, Bill Clinton, when he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky. In as much as it was an embarrassing situation, and in as much as it was a situation that, forced him to eat humble pie, we literally saw the president of the United States at that time come out in the middle and in front of everybody in the world, millions of people, and acknowledge that indeed he has made a mistake, that he stepped out, and that he had an affair, and he asked for forgiveness from his wife and from his children. Another one that comes to mind is also Silvio Berlusconi, who at a time when, probably he wouldn't have wanted to, he had to step aside because he was involved in a lot of scandals that involved fraud, corruption, and some ex offenses. If you know, you know. And lastly, also, another very senior person who was caught up in this kind of a scenario was Dominic Strauss-Kahn, who was the head of IMF and a very, very powerful man at that point. But he was caught in a scandal, a very explosive scandal, when there were accusations made against him that he had essayed a housekeeper at a hotel that he was staying in. And I remember just watching Dominic Strauss-Kahn going through it. He could not believe that a man of his caliber, the head of IMF, could even be taken out of a plane, could be put into handcuffs, and photos of him taken in that vulnerability. And he was forced to step aside because his actions did not reflect the position that he held. And when you look at the Kenyan society today, it's laughable to say the least. We have leaders, celebrities, public figures who outrightly say that they would rather die than step aside. They are not willing at all to take accountability for their actions or their inactions that have led to some bad consequences in the country. And this is a very, very bad thing, or a very, very bad trait that we're perpetuating in our Kenyan society. Your first reaction whenever you realize that something has gone wrong, it shouldn't be to blame people. It shouldn't be to, throw your team under the bus, or even some, as we've seen in the past, flat out lie. Like we have leaders and public figures who flat out come on camera and lie, and they know full well that they're lying because they do not want to take accountability. Instead, what you should do is that you should acknowledge, first of all, acknowledge the fact that things did not go as you intended them to go, and things have gone wrong. And because of your actions or your inaction, something has gone out of hand. Empathize also with some of the disquieting voice that you hear from the people, and then implement a plan on how you can be able to take things back to how they are supposed to be. Immediately what comes to mind in something that is going on right now and that is quite sad is, just recently we have this case where it was discovered in Mukuru kwa Njenga in Kware that there were some bodies that had been dumped there. And I think as at right now, the numbers are more than, I think, 11 or 14. I could be wrong with that. Although on the ground, the people are saying that the numbers are actually more than that. 14 or 11 is a number that could be said to be the official number. On the ground, people are saying that it could be more than that. And therefore, you ask yourself one thing. First of all, that the quarry is right opposite a police station. And so how come did the police not be able to see when this dumping was going on? And when you notice the blame game that is going on between the police, between law enforcement, I don't know, DCI, or any other law enforcement organization that is supposed to take care and to assure us of our safety, it leaves a bitter taste in your mouth, because what do you expect um, a mere citizen to do with this information? This kind of thing makes you feel um, exposed. It makes you feel as if the security you thought you had is not there at all. And in this kind of a scenario, the first thing that should happen is, if we are a morally upright society, the person in charge of our police force should be able to come out and address that matter honestly and as transparently as possible. No one at this point is actually forcing you to take responsibility, but you can just acknowledge that yes, we have seen that this has happened. We accept that this has happened. Please give us time for us to be able to do investigations and actually do the investigations. And once the investigations are done, we expect there to be next steps, which could be prosecution of the people, of the person or the people involved with that issue. And so it is quite disheartening to see that in our society today, as Kenyans, the response whenever it comes to taking accountability or responsibility is, I'd rather die. And this also just speaks to what our society is. It speaks to the moral fabric of our society. And therefore, it is prudent to note that in every society, whenever you hold a public office, you must know that the public does expect, and not just expect, but demand accountability from you and from your office. And if you are not per se an occupant of that office, nobody would ask you on an individual level what your thoughts are or what you think the next step should be. Therefore, we should know that offices comes with accountability. The next question you might ask is, how then do we take accountability? The first thing you should do is stop blaming other people. You are in office, you are a leader, you're a public figure, you're a celebrity, and things have gone wrong, right? Please accept your part in the degeneration of whatever has gone wrong. Stop blaming other people, and definitely stop throwing your team under the bus. By the time your team, the people under you, are taking the heat, you, the person at the top, should have already stepped aside and allowed for there to be investigation about your action or inaction that has led to this. Number two, stop giving excuses. When certain things happen, like for instance, when I'm talking about these dismembered bodies that were found in Kware and Mukurukwa Jenga, and you're there giving excuses, how do you think the families of these people feel? We must learn to have empathy. And I know that stepping aside also sometimes comes with consequences, and the consequences are not the best. But as a person and as a society, we should learn that actions do have consequences. And so, if you're not willing or able to withstand the consequences, then don't take some of the actions that we see people are taking today. Apologize. And this is a problem that I see in Kenyan society a lot. I don't know why people find it so hard to apologize. People are expecting you to lead or to do things in a certain way, and you've fallen short. They've let you know that you've fallen short. Kindly just apologize. When you apologize, I was once taught by my parents that when you apologize, it's like taking water and pouring over a hot bunch or a hot set of coals. It immediately dies down. The anger immediately subsides. And I think, lastly, we should learn to take feedback. Public offices comes with accountability, they come with expectation. And so therefore, because you've put yourself in a position where you are in service to the public, you should be willing to take feedback. My pastor likes saying that where there's no feedback, there is no growth. In conclusion, I'd like to reiterate that taking accountability is not easy. In fact, I think the natural human reaction whenever things go wrong is to blame other people or to give excuses. And so you would be trying to swim upstream by taking accountability. One thing I can tell you, even though it's not easy, it is absolutely worth it. You will learn to take accountability in your own life. You learn to take accountability in the offices that we hold. And lastly, we can change the whole of our society fabric by taking accountability. This has been Wellness by JF podcast. It's always such a pleasure to have you listening in. Do let me know what you think about today's episode in the comments. Don't forget to like, to share, and to subscribe. And I'll see you on the next one.